All right. Welcome to week three recap, week four preview. I'm joined by the owner of the Calvertsville Flamers here, Wyatt McIntosh. We're going to go over what happened in week three. Um, the Brazilian Tree Frogs, they're not off to a good start. We're 0-3 now. We fell to the International Pussycats by 19 points. The Calvertsville Flamers, they pulled out a historic comeback on the last game of the week against the Selma Trash Pandas to win by 4 points. Prestige Worldwide defeated Saskatchewan Blue Beavers by 51. That was a good win for Prestige Worldwide. They continue to kind of roll along. Swish Kebabs, they defeated the Cuckolders. This was a big win for the Swish Kebabs, I thought, because we'll talk about it later, kind of hit on it, but it could have been even better. They won by 60 points, 60 and a half points, and could have had a lot more. Albuquerque DEA defeated the Moscow Muskrats. They beat them by a lot. They beat them by 87, if my quick math there is correct. So good showing for Albuquerque. They continue to prove that they're one of the powerhouses of the league, I think. Um, and they continue to really show that they're ready now to win. So I was very impressed with that as well. Um, we'll kind of touch on matchups again here soon, but I want to get down and get to our rankings, power rankings. The number one spot, I have Prestige Worldwide. They stay there after being there last week. They continue to win. No slip ups yet, so they stay there at one. Albuquerque DEA comes in at two. Both those two teams, one and two, I don't think that's going to change very much. They're both top to bottom, very, very talented. Um, in the three spot, I have the International Pussycats. I'm very impressed with their start they're off to. They're hot right now. You can't beat them. You can only hope to contain them. Unfortunately, they were at the 10 spot 3 weeks ago, and now they're at three. So very impressed with them. The Cuckolders, I have them at number four, down one spot from last week's rankings. Tough loss, but I expect them to bounce back pretty quickly. Swish Kebabs, I have them at five. They move up one finally. I think they finally showed what they're capable of. They're a winning basketball team. So at the sixth spot, I have the Selma Trash Pandas led by Luka Doncic. They still have a ton of talent. They did lose this week. Um, but I do expect them to bounce back. At seven, I have the Calvertsville Flamers who defeated the Selma Trash Pandas. Historic comeback. We'll talk about that here. Um, at eight, Saskatchewan Blue Beavers stay at their eight slot. Moscow Muskrats move down two to go to the nine spot, and no surprise whatsoever, the Brazilian Tree Frogs remain at the 10. Um, team of the week, Luka Doncic, 56 and a half points versus the LA Clippers for the Selma Trash Panda. He's the point guard. Shooting guard and small forward both belong to Prestige Worldwide. Speaks volumes to their team and what they're capable of. Cam Thomas had a 50 and a half point performance versus the Bucks. Kevin Durant had a 44-point performance versus the Lakers. That earned him the small forward of the week spot. Anthony Davis earns his third time team of the week honoree with a 53-point performance versus Portland. And Nikola Jokic earns his third time team of the week honoree with a 67-point performance versus the Pelicans for the Cuckolders. So Wyatt kind of wanted to get into power rankings, week three recap with you before we move on to week four and kind of our preview there. How did you feel personally with your performance, your team's performance? How did you feel like they did?
uh, Incredible performance. I mean, as we saw, I got the max points of for that I could have gotten this week. 343.5 out of 343.5. I mean, what can you say about that? You call me the Greg Popovich of the league, and I gotta agree with that. You know, but Cam Reddish. You know what can you say? I picked him up 2 minutes before the game starts, and this guy gets me the comeback. I thought I was dead in the water, but got to give it a shot and fight till the end. What can I say about that guy? That guy earned a roster spot for the rest of the season, probably. He went from a 10-day contract to we're locking him up now because you just can't give up a clutch gene like that on your team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was very impressed with that. I mean, Cam got bolstered in there to starting spot last game, took Austin Reeves' spot, but then with LeBron out last night, you knew he was going to have the ball a lot more. You knew he was going to make some plays, and he did. I was impressed. That was a heck of a comeback win. I'm sure Tyler went to bed thinking he had the win, maybe, and then woke up to himself losing. So it's a tough scene for Selma, but just the way the ball bounces sometimes. As far as your season's going, Cowardsville, how do you feel like you performed kind of where you thought you would, or do you feel like you've kind of overachieved or maybe even underachieved?
Yeah, I feel like I'm on the right track. I mean, I've missed out on 7 potential points out of my whole out of 3 weeks this year. So I'm basically maxing you to do that. I'll be able to hang right around. We've got a very young squad, and we have a leap in Jordan Poole. I have many things I could say about Jordan Poole this season. He has not done well, and but yeah, I feel like I'm on the right track. I feel good about my season. It was obviously a miracle victory yesterday to save me from an 0-3 start. But now we get that first win. We're gonna go on a roll here.
So I wanted to get into that as well, kind of like scoring almost your potential amount every week. What goes into that? Is that, or do you feel like with the matchups the way they are, where we have to lock it in after the game's done, do you see being aggressive as a smarter strategy, or do you see letting your opponent kind of play out in front of you and then you know what number you need?
I think that with me, I mean, I my strategy basically is just like my star players, like a Trey Young per se. He's gonna get you 30 points is gonna be around his floor for fantasy. So if he gets a 30-point performance, I'm not gonna lock that in because he's gonna get that almost every game, and he has the potential to go for a 50 and a 60. But if it's a guy like, let's say, if I had Dylan Brooks in there, if I had Markel Fultz in there, if they get like 25 or above, we're locking that in at the lower end of our lineup. So, I'd say you kind of let your stars play for that aggressive level, but for your role players, you lock them in at that 25 to 30 range. And I think that's a good strategy.
Okay, yeah, because that's what I've kind of done as well. Last week I tried to jump out ahead of Tad. I kind of locked in my guys with the one night left to play. Probably missed out on some points. I didn't check and see the score of what I could have had, I guess. But I tried to jump out ahead of him, give him a number he had to go get, see if that worked. Unfortunately, he did go and get it, and I figured he would. In our group chat, I did tell him I think he was going to overtake me, and he did, but. Um, yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, you have a certain number in mind for guys, right? That, like, okay, if he gets that number, he can do better than that. Or if he gets that number, that's where I thought he was going to get. Um, I don't think you're always shooting for that ceiling necessarily, but you're definitely always shooting for like the middle number, right? So 25 is also what I had set for a lot of my utility guys. So
Yeah, and I think like me setting Zion Williamson at 41 points, like locking him in at 41 was huge for me because he does have the potential to go higher than that. But if I wouldn't have locked him in, I would have lost.
yeah, yeah, and you have some guys who are just a little more volatile than others. Like a guy like Giannis is going to get you a 55 plus probably or something. Like Luka and Nikola Jokic are in the same boat. But then you have guys like Zion who, yeah, he could go score 45 actual points, or he's going to score 15 all week, and you're going to sit there waiting on that performance. So, yeah, I kind of wanted to hit on that with you because, like I said, you manage your team, probably coach of the year right now. I don't think that that's um, a crazy statement because of the potential points and what you have earned. So let's get into week four. I have a week four matchups here. Um, Week four, this is a big week for some guys. There's some guys that they need a win. They need to right the ship, so to say. Um, and I'm one of them. I'm 0-3, and I'm taking on Prestige Worldwide, which is so it doesn't get easier for me. Taking on the best team in the league. Um, I need a performance. I need some guys that have not stepped up yet to do so. So, yeah, I've got Prestige Worldwide this week. That's going to be tough. You've got the Cuckolders. How are you feeling about that?
I feel all right about it. The matchup, the predictor says 55% for cuckolders, 45% for myself, and but I can win this matchup. The cuckolders did not perform well last week, and I performed very well last week. So anything could happen. I think his team is probably a little bit better than mine on paper, but I think that if I manage to my potential and get almost the max potential points or the max potential points, I can definitely win that matchup.
Right. I agree. I mean, both of your guys' teams are very solid. Isaac's got Nikola Jokic, so that's a big chunk of what he gets every week. He's going to put 65 plus up probably one of the nights, and you're going to have to deal with it and just kind of bounce back, take the punches. Um, Next, I have two teams that need to right the ship too. The Selma Trash Pandas take on the Saskatchewan Blue Beavers. Both teams lost last week. Um, both great teams, both teams that I think could be playoff teams in our league. Um, but they both need a win, and they need it pretty badly. The International Pussycats look to remain on a roll versus the Moscow Muskrats. It's a team that they can beat. I think. I think they can keep going. I'm very impressed with his ball club. I thought they were going to be kind of a tank season, and it turned out that my team is the team that's in the tank season. So um, I think he keeps it going there. Albuquerque DEA takes on the Swish Kebabs. This might be the matchup of the week in terms of talent. Both these teams can go out there and get 350 plus. So it's going to be tough for either of them to get the win. They're going to have to manage well. They're going to have the performances that they need. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this week for sure. I think I I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't think my players are going to be offended if I say it. My team's going to lose again. We're going to go to 0 and 4. It's unfortunate, but Prestige Worldwide is just too talented. It's like David versus Goliath here. Um, I would take them in any sort of realm over my team. I I was wondering, have you looked at my team at all this year, and are you kind of shocked as well as I am by the underperformance that some of the guys have been putting out?
Yeah, I mean, I've mainly been focused on my team, but yeah, your team has definitely underperformed a lot. I thought you had a very solid squad going into the year, and sometimes just how the way it goes, man. But I do say that I think your team will turn it around. I think your guys are just off to a rough start. It's bad whenever everybody, like almost everybody, is just underperforming. So I think you have the potential for everybody to start turning it around
Yeah.
in the different direction as well.
Yeah, it could definitely go the opposite way. I'm sitting nicely, I'll say though, with your first round pick, my first round
Mhm.
pick, and another one as well. Um, and then I have two first round picks the year after as well. So if it doesn't go the opposite way, you struggle through this year, but it can turn around pretty fast going into next year. I will say that too. Um,
Yeah.
you got anything you want to kind of talk about? Maybe call somebody out or anything if you have I know you have Dylan Brooks on your team. I'm wondering if you have the Dylan Brooks mantra going here.
Well, yeah, I think I have three talking points left to hit on here.
Okay.
So, Dylan Brooks, he's the certified backbone of this team. He is the emotional leader. He may not be locked into the points in the starting lineup every week, but he is a crucial bench piece. I mean, he embodies the culture of my team. He's a true winner. I mean, look what happens. The Grizzlies were like they're the number 2 seed in the West last year. Is what they were, and
Yeah.
then they're terrible now when he's not on the team.
Yeah.
And now he's on the Houston Rockets, and the Houston Rockets are 7-4, and they were just god awful last year. So I mean, that's just a culture changer for me. And he may not lock in the points, but I'm gonna put him in my starting lineup, and he's gonna play some great defense on his matchup, and kind of hold them off for me to get that lead.
Hmm.
And then I can put him back on the bench and lock in those high scores like Keldon Johnson coming and giving me 39 last week. That was huge. And then I've got something to say to Jordan Poole as well. This man, he he comes out with a quote that says, I was on Golden State. I got everything I needed to do in Golden State done. I won a ring. Now I have my own team, can play my own style. And in Collegeville, this is just you're not the leader, buddy. Dylan Brooks. This is Dylan Brooks' team. So like, what are you talking about, Jordan Poole? Like, first of all, this isn't the attitude that we need here. Like, this is not your team, bro. So just, I mean, he's out there jacking up 35 footers. He's shooting a terrible efficiency. He just doesn't take the game seriously. I I don't know what I was thinking of drafting him in the fourth round. I thought he could have a big season in Washington, but he's just not a winning player, and that's just not the kind of player I need. So I am looking to trade Jordan Poole, but I've got trade offers coming in like Max Strus for Jordan Poole, and that's just not going to cut it. So I'm just hoping he can play well for a couple of weeks and kind of raise his stock, and maybe I can get a decent package in return for him. But I'm kind of no man's land with Jordan Poole right now, where like I can't really trade him, and I have to start him. I have to hope he
Yeah.
gets me 25. So.
Yeah.
And then another thing is with the International Pussycats, they whenever they had the win locked up and made a substitution last night,
I would like to talk about that as well. That was
like
almost dancing on the grave is what that was. That was we have the win, and I did take offense to it. So I am going to come out and say from this point forward, that is our rival. The Brazilian Tree Frogs do not mess with the International Pussycats, and when that matchup comes back, we will be coming for revenge. I will dance on the grave of the Pussycats.
I mean, this guy says stop the kitty gate. Well, we're here to start the kitty gate. All right,
Yeah, that was
you know.
that was absolutely disrespectful.
This is going to come back to bite him later in the season. I'm telling you now that he just messed with the gods of the Dynasty Basketball Association, and those are not going to be kind to him. If he's on the brink of a playoff spot, I'm here to tell you right now, this guy is not getting it. He's like within like a game or two at the end of the year, like either way, ahead or behind. He is going to lose because of this action in this week.
What that felt like to me was like, you're up 30 and you have the fast break and you just slam one home on somebody and it's like, okay. Like like that was it was kind of like a call out like, okay, I know I have the win, but I can win even more. And I didn't love it. So it's fine. I will remember it though. It will be something that we have in our locker room for a long time.
We'll remember the disrespect. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. All right. Well, I enjoyed having this episode. Going forward, we'll continue to have on guests, continue to have on owners, and maybe even we could get like a league-wide episode as well where everybody hops on. I think that would be sweet, be something that would be really cool to talk about with everybody at once. So, Wyatt, I appreciate you coming on, man. I really do. It made the episode fun. Um, Dylan Brooks, the leader of the Cowardsville Flamers. Um, it's good to know that because from my point of view, I would have said Wembanyama was your leader, but I'm glad Dylan
I
Brooks
mean,
is.
Victor is like he's the Luka Doncic to my Mark Cuban, but I love Victor Wembanyama. I obviously sacrificed a lot to get that guy, but Dylan Brooks is just the culture setter, the tone setter, the emotional leader. He's like when Marcus Smart's on the Celtics. Marcus Smart was the leader of that team. Tatum and Brown are the best players, but Marcus Smart is the leader of the team. That's kind of how it is on the Colorado Flamers.
I love it. I love it. I enjoyed this episode. Appreciate you coming on again. So we'll catch you guys next week on the Week 4 recap and the Week 5 preview. We'll catch you then. Start the kitty hate, by the way. Start it.
Yeah, start it. It was a great episode, man. I'm definitely down to come on in another episode in the future as well. So a great episode, man.
Awesome. We'll have you back. Thanks, guys.